One of the other big pieces of news out of Comic-Con is that Marvel is coming in again with another new phase of films that will be entertaining us for a few more years, Phase 4. Guys, before we begin, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and the bell button to stay notified. YouTube loves not sending out any of my new videos to your sub box, so be sure to hit that subscribe and bell button. But yeah, Marvel Phase 4. I didn't see Spider-Man in there, which kind of irks me because I actually did like Spider-Man. I like the first two, I like the two movies already out here. And
both of them are really good. They finally understand Spider-Man. Like, I think they're two of the better ones. I'm excited about that Spider-Man.
You were talking to me about Blade, right? So Marshall, I think I'm saying his name right, Marshall Ali, Cottonmouth. That kind of bugs me because he is already kind of in the Marvel universe, but I guess it's the Marvel Cinematic Netflix universe. Whatever. He's the new Blade, and you're like, well, why didn't they get Wesley Snipes? Apparently, Wesley Snipes was such a piece of shit on the set of Blade that they just didn't want to deal with his shit. Like, he was such trouble that for one scene where he's in a morgue, I don't remember the scene, but one scene where he's in a morgue, he has his eyes closed, and he's supposed to open his eyes, but he wouldn't open his eyes, so they had to CGI his eyes opening, because he just wouldn't open them.
So where's Blade coming in?
Blade is coming into the MCU Phase 4.
Not on the list I'm seeing.
Oh, no. It was like last minute where they brought on the actor on. He put the hat on and they showed it.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Blade will be back in 2021 or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm. And supposedly, when he was on set of Blade Trinity, you'd had to talk to him as though he was the character, kind of like Daniel Day-Lewis in Lincoln. You had to talk to him like he was the character, and he would only speak in third person. Blade needs some coffee. Blade's gonna go to his trailer.
I love stars of the 80s and the 90s. They're a unique breed. I love that shit.
Yeah. But, Blade 2 is a really good movie, though.
One of the early, really good superhero movies.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, Major League. He's great in Major League too. No, but I get it. And this actor's really great. I loved him in True Detective season 3 as well. And I understand the recasting when it comes down to it. It does bother me a little bit too, Carmine, just because I like Luke Cage season 1. I think he was one of the best parts, and he's very memorable in that.
Yeah, I love him. Mm-hmm.
And it's been long enough. Spoiler alert for Luke Cage. It sucks that he dies so early in that season because he's a very interesting character.
Oh, I mean, Luke Cage. That's the only part. Like, it's funny because we talked about bloat because you assume the bloat's going to be in the middle, and with Luke Cage, it's everything is at the beginning, and then the bloat is the rest of the. Like,
let's go on. It's like, oh.
Oh God, this is just horrible. I didn't even finish because it dropped down in quality just so quickly. It was so good, and then it wasn't.
He's that good of an actor, I think, this guy. In True Detective season 3, which wasn't as good as 1, but if you enjoyed 1, give 3 a shot. If 2 scared you off, is really good, and mainly because of him and his performance. So I think he's gonna give Blade an interesting, multi-layered take. So I'm excited to see what they do with the Blade movie. With Blade 2 was good before they knew what they were doing. So to have Marvel attached to it, this could be good.
So. Apparently, Sony still owns the rights to Spider-Man, because all I really kind of care about is Spider-Man right now. Apparently, Sony told told Disney that if Spider-Man Far From Home makes $1 billion, you can do a third. And right now, I believe it's sitting at 900-something million. So
let's go out and see it again.
So we have Black Widow, The Eternals, and I gotta say, shout out to my boy Richard Madden. I loved him as Rob Stark. He's amazing. He's finally being brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is great. I love him so much that I'm glad he's getting work. We got a couple of Disney Plus series, which is good. I'm glad we're getting this. I'm not going to sign up to Disney Plus, but I'm going to watch it.
No, and I'll pirate the hell out of it. And you forgot to mention a lot of the other cast members for that for the series with Rob Stark there. Like Angelina Jolie's in that cast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so is the guy from Silicon Valley.
Yeah, it's like a huge multi-layered cast, and it's some really high-profile role for Rob Stark there. With you got a series with freaking Angelina Jolie starring in it too, who's going to get a lot of just that buzzworthy stuff. So it's going to get a lot of eyes on him.
Yeah, it's Kumail Nanjiani. Yeah, the guy from The Big Sleep and Silicon Valley. He's so funny and so good.
He was in the first episode of the new Twilight Zone, which I watched, which New Twilight Zone's man, it's whatever. But he was good in that first episode.
But the fact that Rob Stark is attached to something Angelina Jolie is in, I mean, Angelina Jolie is just, I mean, that's like an epic level actress. I don't even know how they got her. You know,
I'm thinking the same thing that it's crazy that they have her in this universe. It's a good just again. Oh, Salma Hayek's in this as well, and and it's Angelina Jolie, Richard Madden, Kumail Nanjiani, Lauren Ridloff, Brian T. Henry, Salma Hayek, Leah McGuff, and Dawn Lee, and then two actors to be named later. So it's a really fucking amazing cast.
And we also have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So the Mandarin's going to appear in this. Mandarin's an Iron Man villain, I know that much, but I don't know anything about Shang-Chi. So I hope this is good. One of the things we are missing in the Marvel universe, despite everybody knowing martial arts, is like Kung Fu. And I really want to see more Kung Fu.
Shang-Chi, as a comic book nerd, Shang-Chi was like this random character from the 70s, back when like Hong Kong Kung Fu movies were on. And this is at the same period of time as like, you know, Heroes for Hire, like, you know, Iron Fist and Power Man were a comic book. You know, Marvel was popping out a lot of these Asian exploitation, you know,
exploitation,
Asian exploitation, like comic books, and he was one of them. And I think they, you know, obviously like brought him back recently, as you know, 2006 or something, to have his comic book again. But he's like, you know, as a comic book kid who like read stuff in the 80s and 90s, he was not a thing then. So we'll see what it is. But apparently this guy has some serious martial arts training. So.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would have loved it for them to use Donnie Yen. I love him. I think he's great. I loved him in Ip Man, and I loved him in Iron Monkey. I'm a huge Donnie Yen fan. But we also have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, this is something Marvel should capitalize on with Doctor Strange and this multiverse thing, because now that they acquired Fox, we can connect all the multiverses, all the previous movies together. Because what kind of annoys me is watching the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films and then seeing them rebooted again and then rebooted again. I kind of feel like I wasted my time watching almost 20 years of X-Men films for it to just mean nothing. I would love it if Doctor Strange goes into these multiverses and he sees, like, you know, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, or he sees Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, you know, kind of connecting it a little bit and making sure those films are actually mean something, you know, because do you guys feel like that? Like, it almost feels like it doesn't matter, you know?
There's a Ninja Turtles movie that does that very, very well.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys saw that, but
I did see Turtles Forever. Yeah.
It really it does exactly what you're talking about, Carmine. It takes all the versions of the Turtles ever, and Into the Spider-Verse kind of does that.
Yeah, no, I mean Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse is a great movie, but they did essentially steal the plot of Turtles Forever.
Thank you. I was saying that to somebody, so it's like, shut up. I'm like, no, they totally stole this from Turtles Forever.
Turtles Forever? What the fuck? I love the Ninja Turtles. What the fuck is Turtles Forever?
The Ninja Turtles, there's the original Ninja Turtle. Well, there's the Ninja Turtles comic book, which is like black and white violent thing. Mm-hmm. Then there's the famous Ninja Turtles that, you know, we watched when we were kids. And then that Phil and I watched when we were kids.
I actually saw it too, actually. I got it on my VHS, but go ahead.
And it was more comical. It was more slapstick. And then there was a more serious kind of violent Ninja Turtles comic, Ninja Turtles series that came later.
The 2000 series that was more faithful to this first generation of the comics, which the Turtles were not quite as hard as the black and white Turtles that used to kill people and didn't have.
But it was a dark series in the sense that, I mean, like chopping off body parts of Baxter. Like that like I've never even seen it, but like having read the synopsis of like, oh my God, like every episode he fails, they chopped off a body part of him. This is a children's show? Like, fuck.
The hell?
It's pretty crazy in the first couple of seasons. It gets silly towards the end. They end up going into space and all that stuff like any other cartoon series. But those first couple of seasons where they stay true to the comic line ends with Leonardo chopping off Shredder's head. It's some dark shit.
Jesus fucking Christ! This is a kids show?
Yeah. One of the villains, the scientist guy Baxter, Baxter Stockman, in it, like every time he fails Shredder chops off some of his body. And so the next time you see him, he's missing an eye, but he has a robotic eye. And then the next time you see him, he's missing an arm, and he has a robotic arm. And then eventually, he's just a freaking brain floating in a jar with like a robot body. And you're just like, it's just so sad and like horrific, like what they do to this guy, like over time. And I was like, I can't believe this is like a children's show. But nonetheless, like the last episode of that, they made a movie called Turtles Forever, where essentially they established that the turtles exist in a multiverse, and the turtles from the one we grew up with and the violent one like come together and like team up to fight the Shredder. Yeah.
I used to be a fan of the Ninja Turtles when I was younger, but fuck, I didn't know that. I'm glad. I'm surprised you guys are fucking fans still, apparently.
And that just opens up the universe, and it shows you that even all the turtles to be created in the future all fit into this Turtleverse. And it would be very interesting to see someone like Marvel do something similar, to actually not ignore the Netflix series. That's one offshoot of the universe too.
Oh, no, they're going to ignore the Netflix series because they have the competing stream.
Spider-Man movie, if they actually do a Spider-Man movie again, because I really want them to. I also enjoyed Tom Hardy's Venom, who Tom Hardy was in Star Trek Nemesis to connect things as well. And I hope that they bring them together. But I really want to see them do with Spider-Man is... Oh, I totally lost my train of thought. But I definitely want to see them do that with Spider-Man, is make a movie. Sorry, we can cut this right now because I forget what the fuck I was going to say.
No, but the thing is, so when I read the comic books, like the multiverse was kind of an established thing in Marvel Comics for a while. And eventually they named the Prime Universe 616. And I was never, ever interested in anything that happened outside of 616. Other people thought they were interesting. But, I really just thought, like, it doesn't matter. Like, this is the reality. And so it's fun. I thought Into the Spider-Verse was fun and everything. But it's weird when you invent this multiverse, now, like, death doesn't matter. Nothing matters because there's another universe where everything's great. Or there's another universe where everything's horrible. Because I know that in the icon for What If, which is another series that's going to come out, you can see that the Marvel zombie universe is there. Yeah. And which is it's this weird idea that there's this horrific alternate universe somewhere else, and then there's this like great universe somewhere else, and it does give me that feeling that nothing matters, like kind of like hitting the reset button in a Star Trek episode, or time traveling everything out. I do think it's a cop out. Like, I'm not actually a big multiverse fan, I think, yeah.
I'm not either, because in the true concept of it, but I guess I remembered what I wanted to say. The only reason I hope that they do a multiverse and bring in some of the Netflix series is I would like to see a Daredevil and Spider-Man movie, where now that Spider-Man is outed here, Matt Murdock can try to defend him. He can help him as a lawyer and help him in a lot of ways. I hope they bring Daredevil and that Kingpin into that universe somehow.
Oh my God. What's his face as the Kingpin in the Netflix series? What a great casting.
He was incredible.
Needs to play Kingpin again. Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh God, yeah. And they can do that because they spoilers for Far From Home's end credit scene. You guys saw Far From Home, right? Preston?
I didn't, but whatever. I mean, I read all the spoilers. I know about it.
So who played J. Jonah Jameson in the Tobey Maguire films? He comes back apparently.
Right, he plays him again. Yeah.
J.K. Simmons.
I love him. He's so great.
Have you ever watched Oz, Carmine?
I have not.
Watch Oz. You would love him even more as an actor. He plays.
Oh wait! The HBO series about them being in prison, right?
Yes, he's one of the main actors of that series, and he's just, it's amazing to see him in that series and then playing this character, Jonah Jameson. And in his the drummer movie too. I'm blanking on the name of it. He's really effing awesome.
Are any of them like? So I'm impressed with all of the. Casts for all of these shows, but it's funny because the concepts of all of them I don't necessarily like. You know, like I'm like, oh, they're gonna do a Hawkeye series on Disney
Probably
Plus.
training his replacement, because I'm sure
Right.
Jeremy Renner's
Or like
done.
Black Widow, like we're gonna do a Black Widow prequel. Like none of that interests me. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like two characters that were never given enough screen time for me to care about them. Vision and the Scarlet Witch, like, or WandaVision, like perhaps one of the worst titled shows. Like they weren't given enough time for me to like them.
Yeah, it's interesting that the most interesting Marvel elements that are left, they're not doing, where it's because they don't own that, or can't figure out how to integrate it well, or there's a shitty movie, too many shitty Fantastic Four movies, so they want to wait a little while before they bring them in. At least to bring in, because I like a lot of these things, but I'm not super excited in the way that I would if they did a faithful adaptation of the Fantastic Four in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or another Spider-Man movie, as Carmine was saying earlier, announced that they're combining Spider-Man and Venom, and we're getting a Maximum Carnage story or something. I don't know. Like, if there's bigger storylines that I would be more interested in, it seems to me Phase 4 is move along, stall for a while until the big properties build up again, until we have time to get the X-Men in and have Phase 5 be X-Men Ho and everything.
You know, it's funny that Marvel's been successful, considering that they really did sell off all of their important properties. You know, like the fact that the Avengers, like Iron Man was a B-lister. You know, like he wasn't a big, like no one was sitting there being like, you know, growing up being like, oh yeah, I really need the Iron Man comic. No, like Spider-Man was the comic, followed by the X-Men, and then they're like, X-Men's hot. Let's make 75 X-Men titles. Let's make 75 Spider-Man titles. And then occasionally, you know, Fantastic Four was there, and you know,
the classic that started it all. They're like the important hub family that were in all the other comics and stuff too.
And so, you know, when Marvel sold off like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and all of the mutants, like they really had nothing left. And so they're like, well, what do we got? Well, we have the Avengers. So they and it's really because they were smart enough and took a risk with Robert Downey Jr., who single-handedly made Iron Man an interesting character and transformed everything, right? You know, and
in some ways all about Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback, which was reaching an apex at the point in time after him being gone for a while, after that success with Chaplin and everyone loving him, and then he falled out because of drug problems and stuff, and then he came back in, and it really hit a peak with Iron Man. And you're right, it kind of shelled off that, and all those characters. I remember Thor was a joke in Adventures in Babysitting. You know, with Vincent, I think, wasn't that Vincent D'Onofrio? That was the Kingpin playing.
It was Kingpin. Yeah. Man.
But weird. That's weird. I never. Okay, that's totally weird. But
I mean, hey, look, like I'll agree with you guys. Like a lot of these series look kind of meh. But that's why they're on Disney Plus. Like WandaVision, I don't care about WandaVision. Hawkeye, that seems cool. The one that looks interesting the most is Loki in terms of like Disney Plus stuff.
Right.
But you're right. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like they had like nice banter in Civil War, but that was about it. Shang-Chi looks cool. Doctor Strange, I'm really excited for. The What If sounds like an anthology series. I'm a sucker for that.
And apparently for What If, they're getting all of the original actors back.
That's good. Great. Yeah. As long as it's canon, I don't give a fuck. The girl dating...
it's canon hypothetical, right? From a different alternate universe.
Right. And I'm actually okay with Thor being a female, because that does fall in line with the comics. I remember they got that a couple of years ago. They were making Thor a female. I didn't give a fuck. I'm not a comic guy. But to me, it makes sense that they're going to have Jane come in and be like the new Thor, because, and I don't think it's going to stick, because, you know, Chris Hemsworth? Is it Chris Hemsworth? No, the guy who plays Thor. Is it Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah.
He's amazing. I love him in Thor 3. But what else can you do with Thor? What else can you really do? Like, you did Planet Hulk with him. And
doing the Guardians movie with him, is that still coming out? Like Thor and...
Oh, yeah.
Of course. But what else can you do with the character, though? Like, I feel like it's all done. Like, what else can you do? Like, his story is done, kind of. Like, what else can you do with him? Like, he doesn't want to be king of Asgard. He gave that to Valkyrie. He's kind of like, you know, Loki's gone in this universe, unless, you know, the Loki series brings it back. What else can you do with the character?
He can ride west. And he can go what's west of Asgard, and just fly west.
I mean, they established long before they made Thor a woman, they made Thor an alien with Beta Ray Bill, and so so like anybody can pick up the hammer, whoever's worthy. So it's fine, it's fine. I just don't think that you're right that, and this is nothing on Natalie Portman, but it's hard to be more likable than Chris Hemsworth. Like,
this is what I'm talking about. Like I love the guy as Thor. I doubt they're gonna replace.
And it took him 3 movies to find his stride. Like Thor Ragnarok is just such a superior movie to the other 2. Mm-hmm. It took him a while to like find that ridiculous character.
First one with Kenneth Branagh, I believe he directed it and directed it all Shakespearean and stuff. It's like it's hard to get through sometimes.
I think the second one's even harder to get through.
At least because you have I forgot that the first half has them on Earth, so it has the fish out of water story. I think
Yeah, and there's some funny aspects to the fish out of the water story, but you're right that all the stuff on Asgard is just useless.